Okay, I think we're live. I'm trying to check it. Okay, it says I'm live. I don't know if anybody's here because I decided to do this at the last minute. It's so weird because I have it pulled up on my iPad because I just wanted to see if I could see when it popped up. Ooh, I popped up now. So we should be good. Okay. I'm definitely on YouTube because I can see myself. So I'm going to put that away. I don't need to watch myself. Oh my gosh. Hold on one second. Okay. Had to shut that door. It was shut. One of my dogs knows how to open doors. So he opened it because he doesn't like it when I'm hanging out by myself. Anyways, for those that are here, welcome. Hello. Hi. Nice to see you. Um, Thanks for spending part of your Saturday with me. For those that are not here, and I know some of you in particular responded to my Instagram story and said, please do it on Sunday because I'm not going to be able to do it on Saturday. And I wanted to do it on Sunday and I said I was going to be able to, but then my husband told me about all these things that were happening that we had to do tomorrow that I didn't know about. So I couldn't do it tomorrow. So I had to do today and I'm just squeezing it in. So if you're not watching it live, but you're watching the replay, still thank you for watching. I'm glad you're here. um, so for those of you that are, checking this video out, you might be wondering like what the heck is going on? What are we doing here? And I wanted to bring in the spreadsheet that I mentioned. I don't remember what video I mentioned it in, but I said a while back that I was going to create a spreadsheet for 2024 eyeshadow palettes that I was testing. I said that I was going to have like different data points on there and I was going to um you know use that to help rank eyeshadow palettes because I said that I feel like sometimes I say things and then the rankings don't make sense. I don't have like concrete, data to point to when I'm ranking these eyeshadow palettes, which I felt like I really needed. So I created a whole spreadsheet and that's what we're going to look at today. When I mentioned it in a video, I got quite a few comments that were like, please share your spreadsheet. And I said, bet I will. So that's what we're going to do. I will admit in advance that the clicking on the laptop is probably going to be a somewhat of an annoying sound. So I'm going to try and do it as little as possible. But let me share my screen. There we go. Okay. So I'm not going to show, let me backtrack for a second. Katie Marie does like a palette palooza style video. I think I accomplished one, maybe two of them last year. I really like that style of review where it's an in-depth review once you've had a chance to like fully play with the palettes, what your thoughts are on those palettes. So I like the idea of doing that, and she does I don't know if she always does 10 or what, but I also like what Betty Jean and Annette do, where it's, like, ranking my last 10 eyeshadow palettes, so I kinda wanna, like, splice that together. So I'm sectioning my palettes into 10 eyeshadow palettes that I've used, and then we're gonna talk about those. So there will be an upcoming ranking my last 10 palettes, Palette-Palooza video that's coming this coming week. That's why I wanted to do this live this weekend so that I could show this ahead of time. But I'm not going to show, I don't want to spoil that since it's coming like right after this. So I'm just going to show the ones that aren't done yet. And I actually have a new palette that I need to put in here. So I figured I'd show how I kind of like input the information. And then yeah, that's sort of it. I'm just basically going to show you all what a weird neurotic person I am because I really like spreadsheets and wanted to make a spreadsheet related to makeup. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so first off, we have one, two, three, four. We have four palettes in here right now. So this is where the palette name is. I feel like that's self-explanatory. I just got the Diveroon, I think is how you say it, Gloomy Gardens palette. So we're gonna put that in there. And then what I want to talk through is the different areas. I feel like that's the most important. So as you can see, we have different colors up here because I color coordinated them by, I don't know, like, so I have performance, experience, multi-purpose. Let's see what else we got here. I have the overall score and then a for-your reference. The for-your reference is really just for my reference because I feel like these are things that might sway how I feel about the palette, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And then just any specialty info that I wanted to note there. So let's start with our key for metrics because I feel like that is important. So in the key for metrics, we I wanted to be as consistent as possible when I was ranking these or rating these. Technically, I'm putting ratings in here to rank the palettes, if that makes any sense. So in here, I have shadow quality. So we have a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being both mattes and shimmers are the most amazing thing ever. 1 being the mattes are thin and patchy, the shimmers are satins at best. I honestly don't know if I hope I don't have a palette that's 1 on quality because that's gonna really bum me out. But like, I just don't even know if there's makeup that is that terrible anymore. Like, has anybody used a eyeshadow palette that's been released recently that has that bad of quality? Because I feel like most of what we have is like decent to exceptional quality. I just don't think people are really putting out like really terrible quality anymore. Anyways, so that's sort of that. I'm not going to read every single thing on here, just because that would get kind of redundant, but I'm just going to make note of the various things. So blendability, also a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being patchiness when blending or unable to blend out nicely, meaning like there's no for because this is for me. Like I'm not these aren't ratings necessarily for everybody. It's my personal rating system and ranking system. But for me, if I struggle to blend mattes if there's not a shade light enough to blend for a fair skin tone. So if I cannot get the shades to blend out into a nice transition, because everything is too dark, like that's where I would have an issue with blendability. Again, I'm very fair, so that experience for me is going to be different than it is for other people. And then on all the way to 5, the shadows blended themselves. I mean, that's like basically, blend bunny status quality of mattes. Like you just tap them on and they do their thing. And then for longevity, I have this one on a 1 to 3 scale, just because I didn't think there was like 5 different categories. So I was like, 3 should be sufficient. So longevity wise, we have 1 being significant creasing fading within a few hours, on most of the shimmers or even some of the mattes. Very rarely do mattes crease and fade on me, but they do sometimes. So I wanted to note that. And then, like I said, with the shimmers, it's for a majority of them and it's within a couple of hours or a few hours, however you want to interpret that. I wrote a few, but if it's fast, basically. And then 2, I'm going to read all 3 of these just to like give it context, but 2 is basically there's 1 to 2 shades that maybe crease really bad, or quickly, but there's no other issues with the rest of the palette, or there's minor fading or creasing on all of the shimmers or the mattes or whatever, but it's like very subtle. It's takes longer than the 1, like it's just not quite as bad. But that's 2. And then 3 means minimal creasing or fading, and if they do crease, there it's super easy to tap out. So it's almost like a non-issue. So those are kind of all of the performance related metrics, so to speak. Oh my gosh, can you guys tell I work in corporate America? I feel like it's obvious right now. Okay. So moving on to the experience, I feel like the experience stuff is it's kind of tricky because it doesn't factor into my score that I'm going to talk about in a second, but it does factor into what I think will be my overall ranking and what I want to make sure to include in the review. What is scored is the packaging. So I have packaging on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being cheap cardboard or plastic. I didn't write that, but cheap, materials, poor quality mirror or no mirror, and no magnetic pan. So meaning like if you're just like not if you're not giving me anything to work with there as far as packaging goes, Like that's a 1 for packaging for me. That goes on to the other end. A 5 is the packaging is the most beautiful or unique thing I have ever seen. And I did note that magnetic pans may or may not apply because I have packaging that I think is amazing that does not have magnetic pans. Those are not a make or break for me, but they do make things better. So you can have an ugly, like outer packaging, but you have magnetic pans. That makes me go, you're not a 1, you might jump up into the 2 or whatever. So that is that for the packaging. And then I did wanna note that I was paying attention to the cost. So then what I was Um, anyways, so I'll explain the comment that's on here in a second. I was just rereading it to be like, what was I even talking about? Anyways, for cost. So I'm putting how much I spent on the eyeshadow palette. So that means what did I spend after a discount code, or if I bought it on sale, or some of them, if I get them in PR, $0. Like I'm putting what I spent just for my own personal context. Because if I'm saying, yeah, this was really great, but then I have to remind myself, like, you know, I spent $0 on this. You know what I mean? So that's the cost piece. The cost per shade is going to be what is a what is the MSRP basically. So what is the full price of the palette, whether I purchased it or didn't purchase it? What is just full price, not including discount code sales, whatever, full price of the palette, and dividing that by the number of shades. And that's gonna, I can obviously reverse engineer the math to determine the full cost of the palette as well. But that's what I wanted to do, is just like kind of a cost per shade analysis, because I feel like a lot of times when we're talking about eyeshadow palettes, we're kind of putting like an 8 pan and a 30 pan, on like the same like cost review, and that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because 8 eyeshadows, right? And I know brands have said that it costs them more to make eyeshadow palettes that like a smaller eyeshadow palette, like that still costs a lot. You're mostly paying for the packaging. It's actually cheaper to put in more shades. But still, I just think that that's something that's important. So that's what I'm gonna do. If you're reading these comments or if you can see them, I don't even know if you can see them. Should I probably zoom in? Let me see. I don't know. I don't know if I should zoom in more. I bet I can. Let's go there. That might be easier to read. So what it says is cost. So at the end of the year, so when I do my end of the year ranking, what I want to do is determine the average amount I spent. So for both the cost column and the cost per shade column, I want to determine what the average amount spent was, and then we're gonna put like we'll score from there. If they're above or under average, basically. So if it's below average, 0. If it's above average, 1, and that'll kind of factor, or vice versa, factor into the score. And then shipping time. So I want, every time I order a palette, I put the date into the spreadsheet of the day that I ordered it. And then by the time I receive it, I go back and I count the number of business days from the day that I ordered to the day that it was received, just to factor in, how long did shipping take? And I think that's helpful information, because I don't know about you all, but I don't love waiting for my stuff to ship. Like if I buy something, I want to play with it right away. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Alexandria. Thanks for joining. I'm already out of breath. Filming a live while being pregnant is, whew, I'm like, can't breathe. Okay. And then obviously shipping cost. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the cost and cost per shade. I think shipping cost is something that we're talking about more and more, because a lot of indie brands have increased their shipping costs. Which, I had somebody comment on one of my on my Instantly Rain Cold Moon video, and they're a business owner, and they were explaining why shipping costs have increased so much, and totally get it. So, I just think it's something to factor in though, because if you're, let's say there's a brand who is giving you not an expensive eyeshadow palette, but like really expensive shipping, or vice versa, you're getting like I'm like wanting to know like where the cost is being, like who's eating the cost of increased shipping costs. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to look at. But anyways, so that's everything for experience. So now where we talk about multi-purpose, This category is where I want to talk about like the ability to do different things with the palette. So first things first, variety and shimmers. But it should say variety and formulas. I forgot to update this. Sorry. At least I know what's supposed to be in my spreadsheet, but it should say variety and formulas. So I wanted to count the different formulas. Like, do we have a matte formula, a satin formula? Are is there a holochrome, duochrome, normal shimmer? Like I just want to have the different formulas in there, just because I feel like for me personally, if you have a bunch of different formulas in a palette, that makes it more versatile than if you have 10 different shimmer colors, but they're all the same. Like they all do the same thing. They're just different colors. So I'd rather have like different colors and textures. Anyways, so I'll have to update that to say variety and formulas, although I know what it's supposed to be. Anyways, and then inspires creativity. We're back on our scaling. So we have a 1 to 5 scale. And the first is it's a quad and a boring one at that. So meaning as far as inspiring creativity, there's 4 shades and they're all brown. And so like for me, that's not going to make me feel that creative. Doesn't mean it's a bad palette, but it's just not going to make me feel that creative. And then 5 is the limit does not exist. I feel like I have to explain the other 2, 3, and 4 for that one to make sense. But like 4, for example, is I can see 3 to 5 different looks right away. So if I look at an eyeshadow palette and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this look, this look, this look, this look, like right off the bat, that's going to be a 4. A 3 is like if I look at it and I see different looks, but I'm like, at the end of the day, they're all going to kind of look the same. That's not inspiring as much creativity as if there's a 4 or a 5 on there. For versatility, it's the same 1 to 5 scale as inspires creativity, but it's an actual practice. So inspires creativity, I'm giving that like right when I see the palette and have purchased it, or like right when it comes into my hands and I haven't used it yet. The versatility is the score I'm giving at the after I've used it several times, and like have I done 3 looks with it and now I don't know what to do, or have I done 3 looks with it and now I have more ideas? So that's where that one comes in. And I'm going to take a break for a sec. See if there's any comments. Nope. Okay. Feel free to leave comments or ask questions or tell me that I have lost the plot, because any of those things can be true. So last up in the multi-purpose, I wanted to also I had put in an Instagram story that I was making a spreadsheet, and did anybody have any criteria that they would want to hear about in my reviews? And somebody said like usability or practicality. And I took that to mean what I created to be a 1 to 3 scale, but basically like 1 being I saw this on Instagram or wherever and thought it was the most beautiful thing ever, but now that I have it in my hands, I do not know what to do with it. Like I have done a look, I don't know how to do another one, like the shades don't blend into each other, the colors don't really work, like I'm not sure what's happening. So that's a 1, because I just feel like the practicality of it, you can have a really beautiful palette, but like it's not practical for actual eyeshadow application. So that's a 1. A 2 is I can only do 1 style of look. So super beautiful, but I'm either only getting colorful looks, or I'm only getting neutral looks, or I'm only getting really glam looks. You can't really do a light look, or I can only do light looks and I can't get really glam looks. Like that's where 2 is like I can get different looks, but they're all kind of the same style. 3 is I can do anything. Like I can do a really glam look, I can do a really soft neutral look, I can do a super colorful look, I can, do a soft colorful look, like all over the place can do different things. Now, this does skew towards palettes that are half neutral, half colorful, or at least have like colorful and neutrals in it. But that's what I find to be what I prefer. And this is for me. So there we go. Let's see. Alexandria said, I end up enjoying looking slash swatching most of my palettes more than using them. Yeah, I can feel that. Sometimes I will swatch a palette and think it looks so stunning. And then I go to put it on the eyes and I don't like any of the looks that I do. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. What am I supposed to do with that? You are not insane at all, I swear. You're not insane. I can totally see that. There's certain palettes that I think are really fun to swatch, especially when I used to do, the swatch stencils. Sometimes that was more fun for me. It was almost like I was, like, painting on my arm, but with eyeshadow. But that was really fun for me versus, doing, like, the looks with them. Sometimes I don't know, there's just some that I feel there's just some eyeshadow palettes that I think look prettier in pan, prettier in swatches, and then when it comes to actual use, it's like a puzzle that you don't really wanna solve, because it's not a good time. So, this is also wrong because this increased to 31. I never updated it. Okay. So the score. So I take the total number of rated points and divide them over the total number possible, which is actually 31. When I say that, we're going to come back here. This obviously can't be scored. This can't be scored. I also added this, but didn't put it on that other page, but I put weight of shadows in palette. That can't be scored. Shipping time, I don't count as part of the score, and then shipping cost, I don't count as part of the score. And then same with variety and formulas, don't count as the score. So it's really anything that had like the scaled rating, that's what makes up the 31 points, so to speak. Okay. And then what I just wanted to look at was the for your reference really fast. So, um, these don't contribute to the scores, similar to like a lot of the experience stuff, but they're factors to consider related to the above metrics that we were talking about and what factors into the score. So, number of looks. So, if I'm saying usability or practicality, and I'm like, okay, I rated this a 2, and then I'm looking, or I'm going to use the overall score to help with like my ranking. And then if I'm like, there's palettes that have equal ranking, like rating, like number, like scores, basically, I'm going to compare them and go, okay, well, how many looks did I do with this one versus this one? So if I'm saying this one is super versatile, but I've only used it twice, and I'm saying this one's super versatile, but I've used it like 7 times, I'm gonna rank the one that I've used more ahead of the other one, if that makes sense. And then, number of shades. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory, but it's how many shades are in the palette, because that's more for my own, like, data collecting, like, how many how many sorry, I'm laughing at the comments because 'cause I'm reading them at the same time. And, so what was I talking about? I was talking about, the number of shades. Okay. What I was trying to say is, and my brain stopped working because I was laughing at the comments, was because when I'm counting, like looking at palettes that I like, I tend to like palettes that have more shades. So it's more just for like my own point of reference to be like, is there like a part where I don't like it's too many shades? Is there a sweet spot where I seem to really enjoy them? Like, what are my top palettes? I want to reflect back on that at the end of the year. And are they all within a certain range of eyeshadow shades? Because that's good information for me to have. And then usage count. I enjoyed making these notes to myself. Whatever. Anyways, usage count. How many times have I used the palette? Again, it's pretty straightforward. Now, let me explain how usage count is different from number of looks. So number of looks, if I'm combining the palette with another palette, it only counts as like I'm counting it as a half a look because that's not a look by itself. It was combined with something else. So that's that. Usage count is truly how many times have I pulled it out, applied it to the eyes, combined it with something else, etc. So that's where that's different. And how many days did it take to test every shade? So similar to what I do with shipping, I just put the date that I got the palette in, and then once I've finished and have tested every shade, I don't count business days, I count just regular calendar days for that one to see how many days did it take me to use that palette. And what that informs for me is there's certain palettes that I really like, but I test them so fast because I really enjoy them, and then I kind of forget about them. But then I come back to them and go, "Oh yeah, I forgot I liked that." And I just feel like it's helpful for me to know, like, some of these you do really like, you just use them so quickly, so you forget about them, versus some of these you like, but it takes you forever because there's 2 shades in there that you don't actually have any interest in using, and you have to force yourself to use. And then where is it made? Just test, where's the shadow made? And then specialty info, that's where I'm putting things like, is there talc or mica in there? Vegan, cruelty-free, pressed pigment or eyeshadow palette. That's mostly notes just for review purposes. A lot of those things, like I I would prefer to have a vegan cruelty-free palette, but a lot of these things don't necessarily make or break my ranking, but I just think they're super helpful things to know. Or it's where I kind of drop my thoughts. Like if I'm just kind of thinking about like, oh, I ordered this, but I didn't love that it said that it was going to take 15 days to ship or whatever. Like I just kind of like put that in there to just more factor in like, are there, you know, is there something that's maybe making me feel some type of way about the palette? So there we go. Those are all the metrics. And sorry, needed a drink. But yeah, those are all the metrics. So let's go back and I'll just show you kind of, for example, Gloomy Gardens. This is the one that I just got. I'm not wearing it today. I used it yesterday. You'll see a look with that palette coming this week, but let me swap first. Oops. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know if you can hear me because I accidentally turned the camera off and then it says that my audio cut out. And then if you can still hear me, I will respond to Alexandria's question. And I don't know how far behind, like, delayed this is. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So, do I have a section for I wore it and didn't like it? I don't have a section for that. I think I would I think I'd probably put that in like a specialty info. Like I would note something in the specialty info that's just like, yeah, like I didn't like any of the looks that I did. Uh, but yeah, usually I don't know. That's a good question. I'm trying to figure out like where else that could go. Cause I do think that's something. Cause sometimes you do looks and you're like, yeah, technically it was a creative look, but I didn't like any of it. None of it worked well. But I feel like I would almost be like, what, like, usually it would either be I didn't like the looks because of, tones or something like that. So I would almost feel like that would either take it down from like a creativity standpoint or possibly, but yeah, I don't know. I think I would just put it in the whatchamacallit, in the specialty info, just as like an FYI to myself to be like, you did 3 looks with this palette, but you hated every single one of them, and then you never reached for it again, you know, that type of thing. But anyways, this is the Gloomy Gardens palette. Sorry, I know I'm filming on like a potato because it's my Mac, but this is what this palette looks like. It's really pretty. So I have only used this once, so we're not gonna. I have to test this one out more, so I'm gonna switch back to. Let's do that. There we go. I'm gonna switch back and put. So as far as shadow quality, I'm not quite sure yet because I haven't quite tested it out. Packaging, I don't know. Oh, packaging I can do. Okay, so 1 to 5. So this one is pretty weighted. It has a nice mirror and nice cardboard, and it is. I really like the design on it. So let me go back. Sometimes because this is where I hold myself accountable because I want to rate them like not just based on like my mood, but like something consistent. Cardboard and mirror are good, and there are magnetic pins. Okay, so we're gonna be 3 or higher. A lot of small details, most beautiful. I don't think this is the most unique thing I've ever seen. It's very beautiful, but I don't think it's the most unique thing I've ever seen. But I like that it's matte, and then this is like more of a shiny texture, and then this is raised, and you do have the shade names on the back. I understand why they did that because they have it kind of set up so that you can pop these out and move them around. I just usually prefer shade names in the palette, but I know most people don't care about that. That's my own personal preference. So I think I'm going to give this one a 4 on packaging. So we're going to go back. As you can see, I pretty much give everything a 4. So I'm going to have to pull up the email because I ordered this one and I don't remember. Cost I paid and then price per shade. I can pull that up now. Let's go to there. I'm going to try and make as little clicks. a notes section or a X or a check. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's hard though, because like a lot of the palettes I do multiple looks with. So there's times where I'll do a look that I don't like, but then the other looks I really like. So I think, yeah, I think I would just have to keep it in the notes section just for me. Um, and sometimes I don't like a look and it's because I know I did something. You know what I mean? Let's see. So the Gloomy Gardens palette is $66 and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 shades. So 66 divided by 15 is $4.40 per shadow. So we can put that here. And then let's see. Net weight grams. It says this one doesn't do the ounces, at least on the packaging, like my other ones do, but we have 21 grams. So I'm just going to put, and shipping time, I'm going to have to pull up. Shipping cost, I'm going to have to pull up. Variety and formulas. Honestly, they're kind of, sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. There's definitely multi-chromes in here. I would say a duochrome. Well, actually, let's go back to their site. Maybe they say it on the site. Sometimes they have all the info. I'm pretty sure my Girl Scout cookies are getting delivered right now. 10 mattes, 5 duo and multi-chromes. Okay, so yeah, they're duochromes and multi-chromes. So I'm going to put matte, duochrome, multi-chrome. I am sorry to the ears of the people that are watching this either live or not live. Hey, Catriona. Welcome, welcome. And also hello to everybody else that I didn't say hello to. I was like on a roll reading all those metrics, but hi everybody that is here. Let's see. So inspires creativity. So looking at this palette, I am going to go back here. Okay. It's definitely not a quad. I can definitely see more than 1 to 2 looks, but let's see if we can differentiate between 3 and 4 and 5. So when I first looked at this palette, I was like, okay, you could do a purple look with the orange shimmer, or you could do an orangey look with this other shimmer. Like, okay, let me backtrack for a sec. So if we're looking, let me just show you so you can see what I'm talking about, right? Because it's one of those palettes that has the different columns. Technically, you can do 5 different monochromatic looks because it's set up like that. And then you can mix and match however you want to. Hi, welcome. So for me, I'm thinking this one, I don't know that I want to say the limit does not exist because I feel like there would be a point where I would hit it. So I feel like it's more than, I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 4 because I do feel like there's different looks that you can see just like right off the bat. Also, again, 4 seems to be my where I like to rock it. And then versatility and practicability or practicality, or usability, practicality, whatever. Those I have to rate once I've used it more. So I've only used this once. There's 15 shades. Received it yesterday, which was 2/23, right? That was yesterday? Or is today 2/23? I don't know. I think yesterday was 2/23. And then where's it made? China. Okay, cool. And then let's look. So let's see, talc mica. We got both of those. Cruelty-free, 24-month open container. So that's what I'd write here is talc, mica, 24-month open container, cruelty-free. It doesn't say vegan, but so I don't know that piece of it. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to leave it at that for right now. Okay, so that's kind of it as far as those go. So I guess I will spoil one that we've already done. Let me see. Actually, is this one done? Have I finished my... No, I haven't finished my scores on it. None of these I think I've finished because I'm still testing these out. I will show you one that I already did just so I can show you how the score works, and then you'll hear more about that in my, upcoming ranking my last 10 palettes. So, the number of the 10, and this is just the order that I received them in, or this isn't like last place, I'm not ruining anything. At least I don't know, I haven't ranked them yet. But anyway, so we scored the shadow quality, blendability. I, put them in red if of the 10 that I'm looking at, it's the lowest in that category, and then longevity, packaging, I received that one in PR, so I didn't pay anything for it. This is again based on the full price of the palette, what did it cost per shade. That's the size of it. Shipping time, I don't know because I received it in PR. So they didn't tell me when they shipped it, and then I just got it. So same with the shipping cost, I'm not sure. And then these are what I feel like the different formulas are. Um I read them off the site. For this particular palette, there was one that they said matte, shimmer, and metallic, and the one shade that they described as a metallic feels like a slightly stepped up satin, but I can see the difference in that formula from the other shimmer shades. Anyways, and then inspires creativity, that's where we ranked it or rated it, and then versatility, blah blah blah. Those are the scores. So then what I do is I total up all of like these numbers, like the things that have like a rating scale, and the total that you can get if you get max score on all of them, the total that you can get is 31. And so out of 31, how much does it have? So this one scores at like a 70.97. And I found that this is actually, it kind of aligns with my feelings on the palette. Like for the palettes where I'm like, yeah, I like it. Like it's fine, I don't hate it. It's okay. Like there's nothing like wrong with it, but it's just not my favorite. That's like a C, you know what I mean? And then 70.97, that's a C. I mean, it's kind of a C minus, but it's a C, you know what I mean? So if we were giving it a grade, that feels accurate to me. So I've only used this palette twice, but I have used all 12 shades. And then how many days did it take me to use every shade? 12, made in China. And then this is where I have all of the information. So this is where I put like notes, for example. So Alexandria, what you were kind of talking about earlier, if there was looks that I didn't like, I think that this is where I capture that, because I basically noted that the artwork on the packaging is gorgeous, did an all pink look, but it was in a rush, so there's no picture of it. It was pretty, but still on the lighter side since I didn't work in the dark brown. So that's like a reminder to myself to be like, you don't have a picture of this look, but you didn't like how that look looked. And it's because you also could have added depth and you chose not to, but it was just not your favorite. So that's kind of where I'm noting that. If there's a look that I'm like, I wasn't a huge fan of that. So that's where all of that is. And then if you're like super, super curious, this tab down here, non 2024 ranking palettes, these are palettes that I purchased either at the end of 2023 or I purchased just for the sake of being obsessed with Vidyard and wanting to complete my collection. And I'm not including these in my end of the year ranking. Like I have no intention of doing the due diligence to like fully test them out, fully rank them, do all of that. Like that, I purchased those solely because I want to have the full Vidyard collection. So that's where I kind of feel like that's different. But I still wanted to, have some information for myself. So if I was like, you know, that's that's a spot where I can go, okay, going back on like a month to month ranking, like how did I feel about it? It's possible that I could do this also with some of like my older palettes just to like help the ranking too, but I don't know. I just feel like it makes more sense to just do new ones going forward. But yeah, that was it. I'm out of breath. I take notes on everything. It's the nerd in me. LOL. Yeah. I literally make a spreadsheet for everything. My family is so obsessed with spreadsheets, and my aunt that married into the family, she always gives all of us crap for it because my family will we any excuse to make a spreadsheet, and we will make a spreadsheet. We just love spreadsheets. And then at work, people will be like, "Oh yeah, we have to do like a data poll or something like that, and we have to do something with a spreadsheet." And I am always the first one to be like, I love spreadsheets. I would sign me up. I will spend all day making an Excel spreadsheet. Obviously, I did because I made my own makeup spreadsheet. Oh gosh, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Oops, let me see. I'm clicking on all the wrong tabs. Same. I have a similar spreadsheet. Megan, what's in your spreadsheet? Let us know. Are there, because I'm open for obviously for this palette Palooza ranking my last 10 that I'm about to do for this week. I'm not going to add anything because I already did it, but for ongoing, I'm open to other categories or other suggestions of things that you all think you'd want to see. I'm going to put the spreadsheet away unless you all want me to leave it up so we can while we talk about it, but I'd be curious to get other suggestions on other things to pay attention to. I'll have to think on the notes though, because I do feel like it is helpful to know, like, did I like the looks? Did I not like the looks? But then that's where I'm like, if I do multiple, sometimes I just don't like my makeup. Is there anything on there that you all thought was like is a really helpful thing to know for reviews? Like, I don't know. I'm just curious if there's things I should add, if there's things that are already on there that you're like, "Yes, I'm glad that's on there." Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. I wanna chit chat a little bit before I jump off of here. Also, I'm a little bit sweating. It's hot in here. I don't know where you all live, but I live in, Phoenix, and it's, like, already 79 degrees, so it's a little toasty. I'm glad I'm not gonna be pregnant in the summer. I feel bad for all of my friends that have delivered their babies in September because yikes. I could not imagine being super pregnant when it's, like, 120 out. Like, tracking shipping time. Yes, Martha, I like that too. I like that too, because I found I'm not gonna share the one I'm gonna talk about you'll all see this video, but you'll talk about or you'll see me talk about the vid for in the video this week that there's one palette where my initial, like, feeling about it was, like, really annoyed that the shipping was gonna take so long, and then it ended up shipping way faster than what they told me, and so then I'm like, that made a difference for me. Let's see, other chats are coming in. Mine tracks usage, and then I have a tab that scores all my palettes by quality, color, story, packaging. Yeah. Nice. Okay, yeah, super similar. I keep track of usage each year, and I'm doing that. I keep track of it on my phone though. It's just sort of like a tally system, except instead of a tally, I just update the number, but I keep track of how often I use my palettes. Like for example, the Danessa Myricks Groundwork Defining Neutrals palette, I'm keeping track of every time I reach for it. Even sorry, I just blinded all of you with my lights. Even if I'm just using it for like browser contour or something, like it doesn't like not just using it as an eyeshadow palette. I'm keeping track of every time I've used it, and I've used this like 20 times this year already. So it's good to know. In North Carolina, and it is raining and cold. Yeah, good times. I'm I feel like I have such a hard time because it was cold here for, like, a couple of weeks, and I was really over it, so I can totally feel you on that, but now that it's already hot and it's just gonna get hotter, I'm also a little bit jealous of you. I can never be happy with the weather. I will admit that. Although, I mean, let me be honest, 79 degrees outside, gorgeous, beautiful. I could go sit outside all day. It's just hot in this room. Let's see, I have to go catch the beginning, but I like the touch on how many looks you could think of. Yeah, I think it's really helpful to know, like for ranking purposes, like it's like, for example, if this palette, if I was like, this is a really beautiful palette, but I feel like I could only do like 3 different looks with it, and those are the only 3 that I could want to do. Like, is that is that awesome? Like I feel like that should be a tiebreaker. So, anywho, live in Scotland and it's 2 degrees here. Oh my goodness. Is it so 2 degrees Celsius, I'm assuming, right? I don't know what that converts to in Fahrenheit, if I'm being honest, but it's cold. I know that 2 degrees Celsius is still chilly. I'm right outside of LA County, and I see my packages travel all over Southern California. My spreadsheets usually track all the products I'm panning and all the projects I joined. Ooh, that's really interesting because I've seen a lot of people do project pans and things like that, and I have wondered, like, how one would keep track of that and what you do with that, and That's really interesting. I like that. I like that idea. I I would love to join a project pan or do something like that at some point. What is on my head? There's a string on my head. Where did that come from? Anyways, I would love to do a project pan or something at some point, but I don't know. I love mixing it up too much. I don't think I could do it. I could do it with my face products for sure because I don't mix those up that much. In fact, I pan my face products all the time. So I don't know if that would really be a project for me. Let's see. I have a planner that I write what I used each day, and then I tally my usage up monthly so I can see what time of year I'm reaching for what. Ooh, I like that. That's smart. I have a planner for work. I could easily like keep track of stuff in there too. I'm in Guam. It's 8 a.m. and 80 already. Yikes. That's hot. That is hot. And I also didn't know you were in Guam. That's cool. I didn't know that about you. Okay, so 2 degrees Celsius is about 35 Fahrenheit. Thank you for coming back to us with that. That is still cold. That is very cold. Hello. How are ya? You came in towards the end, but that's okay. We're glad we have you. Um, yeah, so I hope this was helpful. For those that are watching the replay, I hope you still enjoyed it and had a good time listening to me and my, neuroses about creating a spreadsheet just for funsies. Uh, I don't know. I hope this was helpful. Just in the sense of like if you do this kind of thing on your own or if you want to and it's good insight, I can share it. And then for those that joined during the live and were, interacting with me, I really appreciate it. We got out of here way faster than I did the last time I did a live. So that's good because last time it was like an hour and 40 minutes. So, anyways, I'm going to sign off now because I am sweating. But I hope you all have a good rest of your day and a good weekend. And I will see you next time. Bye.